We are live.
Hello, welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 390. Tonight, I am Otto. It's only forget. I need to introduce myself. It's been a while since I've been doing this. I forgot. All right, so tonight
New Metal Podcast.
Yeah,
New Metal Libertarians Podcast.
This is not a good start. You have me back on the show. This is what happens. But anyway, I'm here with Jared Schneiderman.
Hey guys.
Kyle Wagner.
Hey everybody.
Alex Schlegel.
Hey, the gang's all here.
And last but not least, the Russian information bot himself. We found him. We found the bot. We have
misinformation.
Misinformation.
Sorry, misinformation.
/disinformation /malinformation. It's
malinformation.
But all that wouldn't fit on the name tag, so I just put misinformation.
Yeah, I feel like this is like it's like the analog of like the orange and like red alerts back during like 9/11, you know? They'd be like, we're on orange alert.
Like, what the hell does that mean?
We've got incoming malinformation.
Facebook's going to take the video down.
Yeah.
Facebook's going to take this video down. They're going to be like, oh, there's a Russian bot on this video.
And his name is Senor Babs.
Are we even on YouTube, or have we been banned there already?
We're still there.
We're on there. I mean, we're only about a minute 30 in though, so there is time, but
there is still plenty of time, guys. We can get ourselves banned real quick. So I did notice that we're starting to get a little bit more attention. And there's I shared a meme last night I made of there's a famous picture of Lenny and Squiggy from, you guys know the show Laverne and Shirley, right?
Yeah.
And like Lenny and Squiggy are playing in their band. I forget, it's called like the Squig Tones or something. And he's got like the Devil's Lock and he's wearing like Chuck Taylors and shit. So it's just funny because like I just put the Misfits logo over top of it. It just looked funny. It just because they look like a punk band. It's just a joke. So like I posted it in this hardcore group I'm in. And dude, all the people, they're just the hive mind. I triggered the hive mind. They're like, punk rock libertarian? What? You go, oh wow, like I'm getting some serious boomer vibes off this, and them going back and forth saying how like punks can't be libertarian and blah blah blah. And
just, so you posted it on our page and then you shared it in.
I shared it into the group. That's right, yeah. And it's completely separate.
Nice.
So it was
nice.
So it got a lot of people talking shit, and there was just like, oh yeah, like the corporations and like talking about like corporate.
What was this group?
Called No Echo. It's a really cool group. It's like I hear a lot about like new music and stuff from it. I'm in it like every day.
No Echo, but
it's
a
an
shitlib echo. Yeah, shitlib echo chamber.
It's the same. It's just the same hive mind bullshit. Like it's been in the scene for as long as I can remember.
I think it's fun to throw libertarian shit out there into like normie groups. You know, like I'm in like some like 4-wheel drive and like overlanding like Facebook groups and like there's a lot of freedom oriented people out there, but that's off topic, right? But it usually comes up when somebody they're like, oh, look at this cool rooftop tent I found. Oh, and look, it's made in America. I've been looking for one made in America. That's great. You know, like, oh, well, I just buy whatever's best, and I don't worry about nationalist bigotry. You know, like I'll just call them out on stuff like that, or like people post pictures of their truck with like a flag on it. I'm like, oh no, what happened? You know, like who vandalized your nice truck? That's so awful. Oh,
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
Phil, I don't get your meme. I looked at it. I don't understand. I don't get it.
It looks like
meme.
It's just a joke.
It looks like the Misfits, but it's not.
It looks like the Misfits.
The meme you just described. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was there anybody out in that group that was like, oh yeah, libertarians? Yeah, that's right.
No. So this guy goes,
we're all communist here.
Yeah, so he's like, this one guy, this piece of shit, he posted, quote, Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, and then in quotations, and he put all these clown emojis up, and I got 11 people laughing at that. And then some guy responded back, he goes, AKA Corporate COINTELPRO.
Corporate COINTELPRO? Yeah.
Well, you know what? He called us out. You know, like, I mean, I guess he pretty much nailed us. I mean, just look at our corporate sponsors. Look at the way, look at who we carry water for. I mean, this is a fair criticism.
Right. I mean, we've been so successful at like winning elections and manipulating, the populace and controlling
getting
the
our
narrative
tax
on the
laws
media.
reduced, and I don't know what else we were supposed to do. But.
And then, okay, so this guy also, he goes, meme is funny. Group it's from is gross as fuck.
It's kind of true, though.
Yeah, I mean,
that's kind of an endorsement still.
And then big boomer energy. That's another quote. Big boomer energy.
I think you need to make like graphics.
I mean, to be fair,
on the page so we can like put them up as like endorsements.
To be fair, though, like 90% of Bergman's memes are boomer memes, so it's not that far.
But this
off.
one's funny. This one's funny. I like
this one's funny, but
which meme was it?
Let's throw it up for the viewers.
Yeah, here
for the viewers. Yeah, here
for Brandon Bassler.
And while he's pulling it up, just describe it. So for those that can't see it,
hold on, I got it. All right, so here we go. I got him pushing it in the chat.
I already got it up, dude.
Oh,
Jared's on the docks.
Stupid. Because he's got the Devil's Lock and the Chuck Taylors, and then Lenny's got like the boots on. Like it's just funny. I don't know. It was just dumb. I just thought it was funny. I made it in like 20 seconds last night, real late, because I was inspired because my brother sent me. He sent me one. It was just like this, but it was of Grease. It would show a picture of.
Okay. Do you know that page? I think it's called like 1 Million Dead Posers or something.
No.
Yeah, or Thousands of Dead Posers or something like that, and they just post shit like this. It's like something that looks like a band with like the band's logo on top of it, like exactly like this.
Oh, I've been doing this nonstop because there's this other band Turnstile from Baltimore.
Some good ones here,
and they got really weird. Like they just got weird. Like I know them.
That was the
Turnstile. One. Yeah, and I posted on. I was like, I'm gonna tell my kids this is 311.
Yeah,
it's just stupid. I do stuff like that.
Phil's doing the Lord's work.
I'm just making memes, having fun, and then people are just trashing us as Russian disinformation.
Well, we might be getting kicked off of YouTube based on their new rules. Maybe did you hear about these new rules concerning the Russian invasion and how YouTube is going to combat misinformation?
Please tell me.
They've got a they announced recently that in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, they're going to ratchet up removals of any content that denying or trivializing the invasion, widening its blockade of Russian state-funded media channels, and disabling additional money-making features on YouTube in Russia. So they demonetized every Russian, including the anti-war Russians, right? Including right, like they took them all out, and they're bragging about how many people they've blocked and canceled, and just like they did for anybody that suggested ivermectin or natural immunity was a thing. Now it's trivializing. So if we make a joke about this, you violated, right?
You're done, son. You're done.
Yeah. Can we say ivermectin now? Can we say ivermectin now? That
I don't know. We'll see in a few minutes when we get kicked off of.
Yeah, I mean, I thought like COVID's over, so we're moving on. Next crisis.
YouTube said it's removing content about Russia and Ukraine that violates the policy against denying, minimizing, or trivializing well-documented violent events. How about that as a broad category, right? If we let's just say, has there been an episode of this show where we didn't deny, minimize, or trivialize a well-documented violent event? Every time we mention Joe Biden, right? Like every time, that's a well-documented violent event.
We are the kings of too soon. Like, no, not soon enough.
So, I guess we should just turn ourselves into YouTube and just ask them to ban us. Like, just confess. Like, yep, you got us.
So are the biolabs in Ukraine? Is that misinformation?
I'm sure that
qualifies. To trivialize it is, right? Yeah. Well, first, I guess you are allowed to deny the biolabs exist, right? So,
Greenwald had a good article about the biolabs.
Yeah, are they confirming or denying? Because there seems to be a lot of.
Your mom's a biolab
yet? Oh, here we go.
I'm just waiting for the Fauci connection to the Ukrainian biolabs. Has anybody?
He's been away. He's been away for a while.
He's been awfully quiet.
I feel like he's been like shredding documents 24/7 to like, those aren't my Ukrainian biolabs. No, seriously, I wasn't giving puppies the plague in Ukraine. I swear.
Oh yeah, this is it. Good point.
I only have a minute left. Let me ask you: does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which in fact we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
I'm sure you're aware.
Why did you put them there? Why?
Groups are already putting out.
What would you research there? Oh, plague. How to weaponize plague.
Right. Hey,
like that's your. We're just research. It's just harmless research.
We're gonna open up.
Yeah, let's just put it right on the border of our so-called enemy. That's
we're just gonna put some biolabs here.
Yeah, it's not like we're gonna have another Wuhan. Oh wait a minute. Or it's not like we're going to have another Fort Detrick, Maryland. This time we mean it. We're really going to keep control of our weapon research.
Yeah, what the fuck? And or maybe these were the adrenochrome factories. I mean, Ukraine is what? Like one of the. It is just like a cesspool of corruption
of Europe, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
are these U.S. facilities? Or are they Ukrainian facilities?
I think some of them started out as Soviet facilities, and then they were secured by Western authorities after the fall of the Soviet Union, and then they were sort of transferred, and some were disposed of, and then, does the work ever stop? I mean, of course not.
Right. Yeah. Who knows? I think this is just setting up, and Brian brought it up here in the chat, that this might be the false flag that begins this could be might be the false flag event that's going to draw us into some bullshit.
He said that begins the NWO.
Well, that's the other thing too. Meanwhile, you don't hear a lot of things are being brushed under the rug. For example, Pfizer, did you hear they just came out with the clinical trials? Because a judge ordered that no. 75 years to release the clinical trials? No. So that's being released while all this is going on. And then what other? And a lot of the information is coming out of COVID with the CDC. I mean, they are completely backtracking to the point. And like we said, Fauci's been awfully quiet lately.
And Wuhan, forget Wuhan. We're on to the Ukraine now. Sorry. You don't ever need to know where that virus came from. Don't worry.
I've been assuming it came. I've been assuming we funded the research or were heavily involved in the research that created it. Ever since Rand Paul was picking at Fauci about that, I was like, okay, well, this is probably our fault,
Babs,
when you say our fault, I know you're a statist.
Right? Yeah, I meant the United States.
Don't drag the rest of the
U.S.
show.
Sorry, the U.S. government. For you, I assume the U.S. government had a hand in the creation of this virus. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'm not asserting that it was intentionally released, but I do think that they probably were involved in the creation of it. So. I think it was an accident that it got out, but I could be wrong. I'm just, speculating.
More than likely is an accident. I would assume that.
Well, but then there's also it came anthrax, though. Was that accidentally released, or was that that was fully weaponized? That wasn't just not only did we create a special strain of highly contagious anthrax, but we found a way to coat it in a powder that keeps it from clumping and keeps it in the air longer, so it's a better weapon.
Remember that movie? Was it just called V? Where the guys, what I'm talking about?
Vendetta?
Yeah, V for Vendetta. Yeah, the whole plot of that movie was that the government had accidentally killed a third of the population in some horrific disease release, and they were trying to cover that. And they were trying to cover that up. But I feel like in America, even if it came out that the U.S. government had done that with COVID, people would just sort of be like, oh. Okay, I don't know. I don't see riots in the streets. We're over that news.
They're so
Really,
the hive mind hasn't gotten their orders.
If people realize that, first of all, that let's just say it was determined, like scientifically beyond a doubt, they traced the genome and like, yep, that came from this test tube over here, at the Wuhan lab, and it was fact beyond a doubt. I mean, you don't think people would riot over that? Like the damage done to the world? Nope. I mean, maybe people around here would tolerate it, but I think there would be torches and pitchforks picked up.
France probably would, but not the U.S.
Not the U.S.
I don't know. I mean,
they couldn't even get a trucker convoy going in the U.S.
Yeah, that's been.
We got sound effects on the show now.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
See, I heard the truckers were like trying to cause a traffic jam on the Beltway. Is that what went down?
Yeah, but I think only like 5 trucks showed up or something.
Well,
and then one of them got like scared off by like a little girl or something.
No, my brother got caught behind it, and they said there was for like 6 miles they were lined up on the side of the road, just like a whole convoy. There was a lot of them.
They weren't blocking.
It was on the side of 70, I think it was. They were on.
Oh yeah,
I guess they were leaving town. They were leaving town. No. They just stopped. Like the whole convoy had stopped. I don't know why. This is what my brother told me. He said it just lined up for like 6 miles. But the problem is when they got to DC had got all of their buses that weren't being used, like all their city vehicles, and they parked them deliberately.
They pre-blockaded the city.
Yeah.
Yes, they pre-blockaded.
They basically contracted all the buses in like the DMV and had them idling for days because they care about the environment.
Yeah. Meanwhile, gas is like $7 a gallon in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, just let them idle.
Yeah, no, I don't think they were idling. I made that shit up.
Even if they had they had way too much time to prepare, right?
Yeah.
Like and they kind of saw what to expect and
like Canada already kind of they showed us how to do it, how to pull it off.
It's outside my house.
But yeah, they totally got up front of
with
this.
Like moon bounces and saunas and like that's how they did it in Canada.
And their message, like there were so many groups trying to organize this in the US, and you just kind of felt as though this is probably a setup. This is probably another kind of January 6th possible setup. How many is this legit? Who are these people? They all had all had mixed messages. They were all like, "Oh, we're for this or that or this." It's like, what's going on here?
I thought it was anti-vaccine.
Well, there was, I guess, but then there was.
Well, it's like BLM, where it's like we're against racism, but also we want a $20 minimum wage, and we want white people in jail, and we
need to stick it to China and the Mexicans, and like who knows what else they throw in there, like.
Right.
But for those that are on topic, good for them. I don't want to belittle those that are protesting like serious issues and not getting off track. And whatever you're going to try to shut down DC, good luck. I mean, the Beltway is like 4 lanes on each side. Like that's going to take a lot of trucks to really shut that down. But those bridges, what about like 16th Street Bridge and stuff like that? They could have really, I mean, downtown DC is on the verge of constant gridlock. Just like if somebody crosses the street wrong, like, like how many 6 trucks could probably like block in and out of the city.
Dude, I could not. Driving in DC is a fucking nightmare. I couldn't imagine. If you're a truck, you could do some serious. I remember when I was working for a gas distributor, a welding company, I had to in sales training ride with one of the truck drivers making deliveries, and he had to hit a lot of restaurants and hotels and pulling into these loading docks, and it probably had to be about 5 to maybe 10 deliveries. He's like, nope, not today. Like, can't do it today. Just driving through DC in rush hour. So typically they deliver at night, but they still have to have someone do the route for mainly like emergencies. But it's a nightmare driving around DC. So if you have a big fucking delivery truck or they could have shut it down, like you said, Babs. But it was just they got out in front of it. And
I mean, the city was designed to confuse invading forces, like literally, like the layout of the city. Yeah, like,
dude, I still don't get.
It's all kinds of circles and diagonals, and they're
No,
like, I
it's
want to
all-
put
Northwest.
my secret society
All the-
logo
I feel like
in
it's
there.
all
Like,
grid.
yeah,
It's
me
basically
too.
a
It is.
grid,
It's all
right?
grid. It was It was plotted. The city is split up between 4 sectors: northeast, southeast, southwest.
And then everything's either
northwest.
named after a state or
State goes one
number.
way, and numbers go the other way.
And
I
then
forget
there's
which one.
1 syllable, 2 syllable, 3 syllable names. Like there's a whole system, and it's just garbage.
It's so easy. If I
don't
can
know.
do it, any of you guys can do it.
Dude,
all right, let's go down there right now and
there's-
let me get my Honda Civic and let me
No,
lost
get
in
in your truck.
traffic.
No, get in your truck so you can blow the horn. How would
I
that?
had a
How would that
college
sound, Jared?
job driving
I mean-
a box truck in the city. Yeah, I'd made deliveries in like a Zuzu box truck. Kind
Yeah.
of like,
Well, that's gotta suck.
We could just
It
rent
was-
some
it-
U-Hauls.
but this was in the late 80s, right? Because I'm the old guy, right? So I made deliveries to the Pentagon, just
Oh,
back
boy.
right
Oh,
up to their loading dock. Nobody ever checked my license or anything. Like, man, what I didn't realize what an opportunity I had back then.
Right. I remember this one welding company I worked for part-time, just like on the side. They did like design of furniture and interior design and built like light fixtures, like kind of cool artistic welding. But we had to do this install, and they're like, oh yeah, it's down in DC. We got to get clearance. We have to this, that, yada, yada, yada. But there was a couple of installs where went into the USDA. What a fucking, like, multiple floors, multiple wings. We were basically renovating. We put these light fixtures in that I was welding for a couple
The
weeks.
USDA, they're the ones that'll decide if, like, no, that's a jumbo egg. Nope, that's an extra large.
Yeah.
That's like this whole building probably works on that all day.
Yeah, that's all they do. There was multiple. I mean, you walk by these offices and you see the titles on these doors, and then you go up all these long corridors and different wings, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And we go in this one room where they were installed, where these lights we were welding, these light fixtures, and I forget what else, but it was a few other things that were being installed. So we had to install some of it. They had this huge construction project where they're putting like gorgeous marble bar tops and a whole huge salad bar and buffet area and brand new like wood slab tables, like a gourmet restaurant. And this was like, oh, we're upgrading.
Those
it.
billions got to go somewhere, dude.
Yeah,
You know,
like we have to up. Yeah, and I'm
they
like,
don't spend it, they don't get it the next year plus 20%.
Oh my God, yeah, I witnessed that firsthand in the Air Force. It was just like, oh, if you don't spend it at the end of the year, you got to go on a spending spree, because if we don't spend it, we'll lose it, or they won't allocate as much in next year's budget. So
And remember, that's the mission, is to just spend as much as you can. Every single department, like whatever their name is, it doesn't matter. The job is to process wealth. So mission accomplished.
It'd be one thing if they had the money, but they don't have the money. They spend all the tax receipts every year, and then they go $1 trillion into debt deeper. It's like the money's not there. They're borrowing more and more.
If you had your parents' credit card and you didn't care, and you're on spring break, like, what do you care how much, what happens to the account? You're not financially tied to any of the responsibility.
Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah, they don't care because it's not their money. But my point is, like, at least just cut it off at what you actually got in tax revenues. Like, why go deeper into debt every year?
Well, if you could steal from people that aren't even born yet, that's like the highest level of crime you can achieve.
Well, they're not doing that. I mean, they're stealing like from the current, like from us, right? They do it with inflation.
But then the stuff
they're expecting now, like whoever's holding the last dollar will be the one that gets, like pays that bill. Whoever's the one that has to pay the last tax, like who knows how many generations that'll be, right?
I'm saying we're paying for it right now through inflation, right?
Oh, that too. Holy shit. How's there?
I mean, that's how it hits us.
We're still paying it. We're still paying for wars from like 60, 80, 100 years ago.
Yeah, we're still paying for like what did they? I think they paid off World War I debt like a few years ago.
Nice.
I think that was something I read.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Wrong.
Yeah, the U.S. dollar.
Finally, the last veteran died and stepped wasting benefits. Old bastard.
You know what's some random fact? Do you know the last? It was just I don't know. Never mind. I don't have the docs. I'd just be making assertions, and I do that enough.
Hey, Bab, speaking of war, you were hanging out with Scott Horton, right? Up at the Mises event recently.
Yeah, he was at the convention. I didn't go to the NJLP convention, but I was at the after party.
Yeah, you don't want to go for that business.
Yeah. So yeah, those guys are really cool, and they asked me to help MC, so that was fun. And NJ Weedman was supposed to be there, but he didn't. But his plane was canceled from Florida.
Buddy got high. Because he got high.
You know,
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
stoners are tough to work with. That's the reality, isn't it, Alex? Like,
yeah.
but
Not
he
reliable
legit
people.
did have his plane canceled because of the weather, but he,
the weather or a vaccine adverse reaction by the pilot.
snowed.
we did get ice and snow over here. So
Oh yeah, that's right. It was
I
shitty weather that day. Yeah,
I was supposed to go to West Virginia's convention. It was the same day, but dude, they were calling for like 6 inches of snow up there. I was gonna shoot. I was gonna shoot machine guns with Spike, but fuck that. I was gonna take my Camry all the way up to fucking Martinsburg, West Virginia, and get stuck.
Do it.
Or something like that.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah,
But so we changed up the program. It was going to be like we're going to do a Q&A with NJ Weedman and Scott Horton. I was looking forward to having them both on stage. It was going to be like a Marvel team up episode.
That would have been awesome. You guys could have
like
been
having these
blazing
two
up there.
guys. Like it's like a DC meets Marvel world, of heroes, right? And but anyway, so Mike Heiss was there. So
cool.
So first Scott does a Q&A, and Scott had already done like an hour and 45 minutes at the convention. Okay. So I told him, like, look, we're just going to do a couple quick Q&A here, and then we're going to bring up Mike Heiss and just talk about like Mises Mayhem, right? We'll just start with a couple questions right from the audience. So, people line up to ask questions, and the first question, Scott just goes into like free form, like stream of consciousness for
Dude,
another 9 hours. Like
an encyclopedia.
He's like so he's so intense, and I'm like, as MC, I'm kind of like I've got a whole line of people standing there waiting to ask questions, and he's like, it's like 20 minutes. And he's like ranting, and it's like at some time I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about, but other time I'm like, yeah, get him, Scott. So
Yeah.
So
Did
just kind of have to let
anybody
him
ask
go.
a question?
But
Was it like one person asked a question and then he just went off?
Yeah, and it was just like with not even the slightest pause to inhale. I don't know, like
right.
I was always just like ready to be like, no, like could just never a split second of pause. Man,
Yeah, it was a shit.
relentless.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like he could just, even just in like casual settings, he is just a machine and just can go on. And it's like, it was that. I think Otto he drove back that day. I stayed an extra day up at Porkfest, but he was hanging out in the Mises tent. He was doing a book signing, so I got his book signed, and we were just all hanging out in the Mises tent. And then next thing you know, it's just like 2 blunts in rotation and Dr. Pepper, and it's just like a stream of conscience of foreign policy. And yeah, it's amazing.
Well, God bless him. I introduced him as the reason that like, libertarians have any idea what's going on in foreign policy. Right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like how clueless would we all be if it wasn't for just that one guy and his interviews.
I've been talking about
the way that he's able to like break things down. And
I remember Kyle used to say, he used to be like, I would first do the podcast or like in Matt's basement. Kyle would always be like, Phil seems to be plugged in on all this stuff. Like, I don't know where he gets all his information from. I'm like, it's Scott Horton. That's where I get all my it's Scott Horton. It's like my rudimentary knowledge of geography and history plus Scott Horton. It's just
and in his interviews, it's like even if he's not had an expert on everything, obviously, but he's plugged into all the experts on everything. So if you listen to enough of his interviews, like you'll hear, like just incredible expert knowledge coming out on all of these topics. It's just astounding. And
just all like knowing all the players, knowing all the chains of commands and understanding like military technology and understanding
all the
players.
Like, oh, this guy's daughter and then her son and his cousin like did all this shit.
Yeah, but they're invested in this company and this defense contractor.
Somebody that could just like dial him back, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he gets
like he's just on at 11, like so hard. It's like just let's dial it back a tad sometimes. Like it's a party. I wanted to be like, dude, it's a party.
Yeah.
That's what is his take on this conflict? What's his position on the Russian-Ukraine conflict?
Holy
in
shit.
a nutshell.
Guys, hold on.
In a nutshell.
Hold on. The
breaking
Washington
news?
Post. Yes. The Washington Post just posted something. I haven't read the article yet. I don't know if I'm still have to pay yet. But it says perspective. Neo-Nazis are exploiting Russia's war in Ukraine for their own purposes. Not since ISIS have we seen such a flurry of recruitment activity. I don't know. I got to read this article.
Wow.
I got to read this article.
I'm sure
they
they're
could
going to
actually
be
be telling the
canceled for
truth.
that, right?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to say that, are you?
I'm gonna post like, is this Russian disinformation?
Yeah, when's the apology coming? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning?
What
This
is
right.
your
journalist has been
position
removed from
on
his
this
post.
conflict?
Well,
Oh.
I think Scott has the pretty just the general libertarian view of nobody's justified in bombing other civilians in any way, but that NATO has been steadily provoking this and for years, and this is an ultimate failure of diplomacy that is just criminally incompetent, I don't know.
Of course, really.
He's gone into the whole. I mean, he went in. He had some recent interviews. If you go back, I think he was interviewed right when this kicked off, or right before.
He gave a speech. He gave a speech like immediately after it kicked off at like some convention or something.
I forget. I think that was Utah's convention. And it's like 2
Yeah.
hours, him just going straight. It's probably the same one
Yeah.
he gave up in Jersey. Dude, it was incredibly insightful, impactful.
Yeah.
But it just.
I mean, yeah, it's just bullshit. I mean,
it gets
everything
into like all. Yeah, it goes back so
Yeah.
much. Like the normie news is
It's basically like
history
right after the
starts-
Cold War, like they could have just basically been like, all right, we're gonna bring Russia into the, into the fold, into like the good guys.
Right.
Have quote fingers up for those
and
listening.
kind of to keep them away
then-
from
but then-
China. Like,
Yeah, but then like they immediately just started like fucking with them like right off the bat, like
Mhm.
just
Yep.
sanctions and like, I can't
fuck
remember
with
the
their
specifics.
economy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, did you
Gets
you
into the
guys
whole
saw
NATO.
Kamala
wow.
Harris's thing, right? Her explanation. I'm sure you guys all saw that.
Oh my
no.
God,
That
I
little-
gotta
where
find
she's
it.
she's like, well, Russia's a big country and Ukraine's a smaller country, and they invaded them. So basically, that's wrong.
That's not good.
You
That's
know,
not
it's-
nice.
And that's not.
it's bad.
So we're
They're
taking the
bad.
safety. So we're positioning our Trident nuclear submarines in the area, and we're positioning. Right?
It's
We're
the
taking
most
safeties off.
childish. Like,
We're
I don't
getting
know.
the codes out for Uncle Joe.
she's just
You know,
speaking
like-
to her base.
yeah. I mean, it is really, really the stupidest.
We did it, Joe.
You want to be like, are you talking to like 4-year-olds? Like, what are you saying right now? You're the vice president. But
Basically.
anyhow,
mentally 4-year-olds, yeah.
but
Yeah,
I was
she's just so used to talking to Joe Biden that
Oh my
she's
God!
on
Yeah,
that
she
level.
talks
Joe,
to people.
there's
like,
She's
Kamala,
so
why are we
condescending.
doing this? Well, Joe,
That was a good joke, Otto.
sit down.
She's used to talking to Joe Biden.
There's
Joe,
some
are
video
you
of Joe
actually
mad
Biden.
at a little country.
Did you
Yeah.
see that video of Joe Biden from? It looks like from maybe a previous generation, because he's actually putting sentences together, and he's talking about provoking NATO and things like that, like back in the day, and how like, oh, if we did this will provoke NATO, and like, I mean, it'll provoke
NATO.
I mean, it'll provoke Russia if NATO
Yeah.
expands and stuff. And he was like you could tell that he understood it like so much better back then,
Yeah.
right? Than he does now. Just I don't know.
They
Has the president even commented on like what he's doing over there? I mean, did the teleprompter say anything about this?
They had the State of the Union recently.
Did anybody watch that?
No.
Go get him.
No.
Parts of it. He called them
Oh, that's what. I heard. Go get them. What does that mean?
instead
Yeah.
of Ukrainians.
Go
He said
Brandon?
Iranians. He like misspoke and said
That's
like
right, I
we got to
remember
help
that
the
now.
Iranians.
Oh,
or
you know what he
something.
did say though? He did accidentally slip up, and he was talking about Poland, and he kept saying our border, and then he had like immediately caught himself and was like, I mean Poland's border. I'm like, no, you had it right the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
I'd be
idiot.
interested to hear what provocations NATO has done that
I mean, they've added since 98 or 97. Scott breaks it down. Like they
Well, like-
expanded to 12 countries, added 12
Well, all-
NATO countries. There was already an
Weapons
agreement.
system that's nuclear capable.
Yeah, they put it in Poland. It can have what the Tomahawk missiles with the nuclear tips. It can also fit defensive ones. That's what they said. It's for defensive purposes against Iran. But for
Yeah, I read that
just like those biolabs are for defensive research.
I thought I read
that's the way that works. Like the treaties
re-
say you're not allowed to do bioweapon research, right? But there's a loophole in there for defensive research, right? Well, what's defensive research? Well, that's when we first invent the weapons and then we learn how to defend against them. And that is legit what they do. That is how they can say with a straight face, no, we don't build bioweapons, but yet they actually released that anthrax bioweapon, like got out and was traced to them. But yet there's a treaty that says that we don't I mean, your folks, Kyle, don't make bioweapons.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
kinda
think about it. Well, I'm saying they brought in what, Latvia, Estonia, I mean, all these Baltic state countries, and they said they wouldn't go past Poland, and they just went even further, and now they're like right on the doorstep, and it's just so discouraging to see these like blue-pilled libertarians that are just like, oh, stand with Ukraine. I stand with Ukraine. Like, how about, wait a minute. So you're standing with a country whose military and government is partly made up of neo-Nazis because you hate
by
Putin
Raytheon.
so much.
Right.
Sponsored by
Is it Raytheon you love or the neo-Nazis that like, which is really the one that's pulling your heartstrings?
Or do you like the child trafficking out of Ukraine? What part of Ukraine?
Well, see, I don't have a problem with
the
the
support.
I mean, I don't have a problem with them being like, I stand with like the Ukrainian citizens that are like,
that's fine. Yes, right.
That are, but when they're up there, like, oh, the president, like, he's so like,
he's so cute.
He's so courageous, and he's so like,
oh, I've got a crush on him, or
crush on him. Yeah.
Well, and when you show the flag colors, you're not saying I'm sympathizing with the people. You're saying I'm sympathizing with the government because I'm displaying their logo with my heartfelt, you're basically, I mean, everybody means well that does it. I don't mean to say that like, oh, you're a horrible person because you're putting out your like, oh, I support Ukraine thing. You probably just haven't really thought it through. Right? Like, well, what are you really supporting? Are you supporting the government that has been waging war against the separatists? Are you supporting the neo-Nazis that are part of the government? Are you supporting the part of the government that Victoria Nuland like installed on the behalf of the deep state? Right. Are you like, which is it? Which is the thing you're really supporting there? Like, break it down. Like, and nobody's going to say they support that crap.
Nope.
But
I
then
did watch.
When it comes down to it, they're like, yeah, we need to get them weapons. Like, we need to get them more weapons. Like, they want to prolong the war. They're so. I've almost thought that, like,
exactly.
This is what Elon Musk posted on Twitter.
Oh, that is
so
I support the current thing, the NPC holding the Ukrainian flag behind all the other LGBTQ plus flags. Yeah.
What's the brown? What's the brown and black
flags?
Is that
probably BLM?
Maybe.
Oh,
I love it. He's going to be. Has he been kicked out of Tesla yet? Because that's coming.
He owns Tesla.
No, he doesn't.
Well,
okay, he does have a board, I guess, but is he? I don't know.
But let me ask you guys a question. I have a theory based on what I've seen. The support to get this war going with Russia. It's so like anti-Russia. But it's kind of like anti-Trump at the same way because
they're flipping that.
And what I'm thinking is this whole thing, and when I see Victoria Nuland specifically, like I'm like, is this how Hillary can still win? Like if they get to go to war with Russia, it's like Hillary won, right? Yes. It's like Trump never happened. Is this their mindset?
I mean, they're already trying to
putting Hillary as president was only just going to make things easier. Now it's like, oh, okay, we got to do things the hard way. We've got to use all these back channels and deep state. We can't be out in the open. Okay, fine.
But I feel like the deep state is finally like, I told you we were going to do this. Like screw you and your Trump thing. That slowed us down. But yeah, now we're finally getting our war back on track. Thank you.
Yeah, we would have done this years ago if it weren't for that orange man meddling.
that pesky and you pesky kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And we would have got away with the NWO and the Bilderberg group and Klaus Schwab's,
Oh, dude.
Well, Trump really just gave them like cover, as in like, well, now this is all, we can just blame Russia on Trump, right? Because Trump was, a Russian agent and he helped them get powerful so they could attack Ukraine and blah blah blah. So
he was a
a useful
Putin
idiot for them.
apologist.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys ever get called Saddam apologists? I know I did, but maybe you did.
I was only like 12, so
Yeah.
I was in high school. But so this is okay. So this is a good question. Something we were talking about in one of our chats was, do you think now the climate is the same or worse than what it was in the lead up to the Iraqi invasion? Because I think to make my argument, I think it's worse because
the problem is you have the factor now of social media, which you didn't have back then,
right? And so I think.
So you couldn't really see all the fervor. Now you can. Now it's like, well, I can just put up my.
It was thick though. No, you could see it in 2001 and whatnot. Like we had the internet. There was plenty of. I remember some big rallies they had in the run up to the war, sponsored by Clear Channel radio stations, where they were doing these like salute to the troops.
Yeah.
Things. They had one at Valley Forge. They were like, you couldn't
before
park
they even got into
3 miles. They had like 15,000 people like come in to support the war and wave flags and stuff. And me and like Darren Wolf, one other libertarian, we went in there as like lone, like anti-war, like and it was literally like 2 of us and like 15,000 people. And they were all there to just chant for the war. And
well, so my argument is it's worse now because back then you had your, it was the neocons and the Fox Newses and the deep state, like it was the usual suspects that were for the war, but there was still a clear divide of like people who were against the war. Like there was, like the Dixie Chicks would come out and be against the war. Like there was certain elements of
designated celebrity here and there.
Remember when that like absolutely destroyed the Dixie Chicks career?
Oh yeah, I remember. And the thing
they were right.
There was the punk movement. Like, I mean, I was into punk at the time, and like I remember like all the people being against it then. I remember like just being like a total like clear divide. I don't feel like there's any divide. I think it's literally just like the libertarian movement versus the academia, Hollywood, all of the both parties, the neocons,
and the weak libertarians are lost as well.
Yes,
like I've been called a Saddam supporter, a Putin apologist by former executive director of the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania, recently defrocked. Part of the like.
Oh, he's a part of Defend the LP or whatever. The that stupid organization.
The LP is that like Defend the Guard?
No, I have the flyer. Shit, let me find it. But yeah, they sent this.
They fucking suck. Yeah, they fucking suck.
Defend Augustus Invictus.
So I got into an argument with somebody about that because I said that I made an argument about Steve hiring that guy he said it wasn't for the convention, it was for a liberty, it was for a simultaneous like liberty event at the same time. It wasn't for the party. And I'm
advertised, but it was advertised to using the party's resources and out on the same channels that you would promote the convention on. So
but he said it had nothing to do with the convention though. That's what he said, or they said, or
someone. But it had every.
This was in regards to what?
About
having Augustus Invictus at the LPPA. So he did insulate the LPPA to a certain extent, but it still has everything to do with Steve Sheets, and it was still a big problem for our host at the Harrisburg Hilton, right? Who got threatened by Antifa street action. Like if they were to allow this event to go on.
This was years ago, right?
2016.
Yeah, I remember I remember hearing about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was.
They had to cancel it.
Yeah. Well, it was. So our friends. Our friend is the manager. There was the sales manager, and he still has a great job with the Hilton, and he hooked us up with event space there year after year. Right in Harrisburg, whenever we needed space, he could always help us get a good deal. And was just like great, but he always had to sort of walk the line between, keeping his business and his libertarianism separate, right? Like, so he didn't want to flaunt his politics at work, like most people don't, but he still, he did everything he could right inside that, right? But then one day his bosses came down on him, like, what is this? What's going on here? We're getting these phone calls. What did you do? And like he had to explain it to his bosses. And then so he asked Steve, like, would you mind canceling it to save my butt? So it was just a terrible thing to do to, a great ally for the organization.
Wow.
Damn.
Well, yeah, what a dummy. Do some research on people. Like, what the hell? Like,
Well, guys,
we told him. I'm like, dude, he's a fascist. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, he's a fascist. Like, no, he's not. I'm like, dude, he's got Mussolini's logo as a tattoo on his back. Like, it's like, I'm not like, I'm not exaggerating.
He was also like sacrificing goats.
Yeah, he was drinking goat's blood in the first moment. He's a pagan or whatever, and I was like, okay, well, this guy's a creep. I don't want to have anything to do with him in the party.
You know what? But hey, it's libertarians. I'm not going to hold that against anybody.
No,
right?
if that's all he did, then I'd be like, well, he's just kind of weird.
Yeah, right.
No, I knew there was.
Libertarian.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. When someone's drinking goat's blood, it's the tip of the iceberg.
Hey, goats smell, goat's blood. Hey, whatever you're into.
The real sad part, though, was the hotel is getting these like, there's going to be like a street protest, okay? And then Steve Sheets announced that, it's canceled because of a bomb threat, or like there was.
Oh no, he made it worse.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm like, I heard this. I'm like, oh my God. I quickly called the Harrisburg Sheriff's Department and the local police. And I'm like, what's up with this bomb threat? Like, what's going on? Like, they're like, what? Like I heard there.
Now, look at Babs calling the police. What the fuck is
what is going on here?
I'm sure I did it from someone else's phone, but but I went looking. I was like, all right, like let's get this is serious, like. So, but no, there were and I had gone to our friend who run the Hilton. I'm like, Hilton, Barry, what's up? And anyway, it all came out that there was never any bomb threat. There was never any, nothing like if a hotel got like a threat of violence, they would call the police, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah. So no, there was no police called. That's all we know for sure, right? So those are the facts. So it's just like, do something dumb, then lie about it, then just be extra, retarded. Like,
wow.
Anyway, I guess that chapter's done for Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Those days are over.
It took Mike Heiss like 6 years to come around and clean house.
It was a hard task.
Late than never, right?
All right.
Well, guys, while you guys are getting your foreign policy expertise from Scott Horton, I, on the other hand, am getting it from TikTok stars.
Oh yeah.
So this is a story in the Washington Post. The White House is briefing TikTok stars about the war in Ukraine. On Thursday afternoon, 30 top TikTok stars gathered on a Zoom call to receive key information about the war unfolding in Ukraine. National Security Council staffers and White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki briefed the influencers about the United States strategic goals in the region and answered questions on distributing aid to Ukrainians, working with NATO, and how the United States would react to a Russian use of nuclear weapons.
Oh my God!
Oh, cue it up.
This is how war in clown world goes.
Is there a video there?
Is there a video?
Is that a video in the link there?
Oh, we could watch. We could see. This might be like a.
I don't even want to. All right, let's see here. All right, I mute it.
Can you hear it?
No, it's muted.
All right, I gotta switch back to this because this thing's all screwy.
I mean, I guess to your
point,
Otto.
While that's going on.
This is our theme song to This Week in Clown World.
Yes. Clown World segment.
All right.
To Otto's point, though, I mean, the propaganda is way worse right now, but I think it's just so fucking obvious that we're seeing through this bullshit and there isn't buy-in.
Let's try this again.
See,
in Ukraine.
we're the one.
A number of other content creators on social media and myself were invited to this event, which was on background, meaning that we couldn't record or take pictures, but we can discuss what we learned from it. Now, there was definitely a lot discussed, but in this video, I'm going to go over the specific question that I got to ask, the answer to it, and my thoughts on their response. And as a quick piece of context, a lot of the people there ask questions based off of the content they create and what they feel their audience might want to know. So that informs the question
Mind you,
that I
he's
personally
in
asked.
front of the White
So
House.
this was my question.
Background.
Many people from marginalized communities in the United
That's all
States
you're
have become dejected regarding the situation because there's an
marginalized
imbalance of
communities.
coverage and assistance given to the Ukraine-Russia crisis compared to other occupations, invasions, and attacks throughout the world, some of which have
that's a
U.S.
good question.
involvement.
Okay.
What
Okay.
incentivizes these
Back on track.
Americans to be in strong support of the U.S., giving high levels of attention and direct aid against the Russian invasion, as we feel there isn't enough attention on related issues in other places throughout the world and right here in the United States?
We've
got
First,
another
I'll try to give a
worldview on the
direct
start,
summary
too.
of what they said, which can be divided into 4 different points. According to
God, I don't know
them,
if we have
one
4
reason that
points.
this crisis is specifically notable is because of the size of the invasion, which
When
is
is
the
the TikTok
largest
dance
since
gonna
World War
come in?
II. Second, they
I don't
acknowledge
know.
that this coverage imbalance exists for crises
dance is
throughout the
terrible.
world and encourage us as content creators to use our platforms to highlight different issues as they arise, especially when mainstream media fails to do so. Third, they said that just because something isn't getting mainstream coverage in media doesn't mean that the United States isn't giving aid, whether that be monetary, humanitarian, or military
Which
aid
side?
to other
Or
issues
drone
throughout the
bombings.
globe. And last, they said that they hope that this
Or dance
crisis
move.
at least raises the public consciousness around geopolitical issues throughout the world, and that even though Americans may not be proud of other things the United States has done globally, that they hope that we can look back on this moment and see how the United States rallied the West to stand up against Russia and be proud of that.
Wow.
And once again, that's
Uh,
what they said.
What?
Now I'll just share 3 quick points.
All right.
No,
Oh,
fuck
this-
you. I don't got time for this shit.
Wow.
I thought TikTok's supposed to be like
I thought
a minute.
TikTok is like dance, like nurses doing dances. Now tell me,
No, that's
like,
over with.
I'm old.
No, now it's
No,
now
that's
it's a
over.
propaganda.
Ukrainian
machine.
soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers dancing. No, that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
now it's
isn't
war
it,
propaganda.
right. I did hear it was like soldiers giving away tactical information. Right, like on where their units are stationed and their like tactical readiness, stuff like that. Have you heard any of that stuff, Alec?
Yeah.
Tactical readiness.
Yeah.
Like
No.
like military intelligence people are combing these social media posts to get information about where troops are and things like that. Does that sound feasible?
I mean, probably. I mean, if they're not practicing, I don't know. It's so bizarre. I've seen a lot of videos on Telegram or TikTok.
Have you?
Yeah.
I have not seen many videos. You'd think that there'd be way more videos of gunfights, and I have only seen maybe a handful.
Well, all the ones I've seen turn out they're like from video games or they're from like
Right,
other
right.
wars.
It's from like 2014, or it's like
Some of them
It's like
are
some
not-
guy like carrying a landmine, but it's, like
the
actually
Asian,
in like
it's,
Saudi
it's
Arabia.
that Asian doctor who's just like, I'm so scared. I'm being attacked by Russians right now.
Right. There, I
Dude, we
haven't
should-
seen any,
horrified.
you're right, though. I haven't
let's
seen any
sponsor-
compelling footage.
Let's sponsor like an aid where we donate like 500 GoPros to like Ukrainian just I don't know, random Ukrainians or just soldiers or
that cop,
Nazis or
just so we can see what's
dogs
going on.
or yeah, just like somehow get a bunch of cameras, or maybe those 360 cameras would be cool. You know, there's like, if you ever seen those 360 action cameras that like they actually film in 360 degrees, and then later you can like zoom in on whatever
Break
you
it up.
want.
No,
I take cell phone footage.
Babs, didn't you say
What
a
about
cop was
drones?
going over there? A cop was volunteering to go over there. Maybe
Oh,
his
yeah,
maybe his body cam will actually work while he's going over there and fighting,
Yeah, let me see if I have
yeah,
that
good
story. This
call.
was a story about a cop, a former Dallas cop who left his kids at home to go fight in the war against Russia. And yeah, like wow, that's pretty far out, right? Like
I mean, his kids and wives are probably good. We won't be abused at home, And-
yeah, he said the headline says former Dallas police officer, father of 2, puts life on the line to fight for Ukraine. Okay, and literally he's suited up and he's headed to war. But the fact that he was a cop, right, and now he's looking for another opportunity to inflict
I
violence.
bet he just really
isn't
hates
that
his
weird?
wife.
I'm thinking the wife and kids are lucky, because what do you think? Do you think this guy's one of the 40% that abuses his family?
Yeah.
I mean, I
He's
think
just
it's
like,
pretty
I need to
safe
go
say
over
he
there. Is he even Ukrainian?
Yeah.
What's the motherfucker's name?
I think
They don't even have his name in here. Is he even like real?
Let me see if he has.
Or are they protecting him from Russia?
Oh my god! If they're trying to protect him, this is completely fake,
dude. It's definitely his name's not even in here. It just says he's a lawyer and former Dallas police officer, compelled to join a foreign legion.
Will not reveal his name. Yeah, it says the third.
Will not reveal his name for security in Ukraine. For
okay?
Oh my
Fuck
god!
You. This is propaganda. Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Right.
Well, I think we could hope it's true, and that his wife will find a new man while he's away, and that the kids won't be beaten, and that everything's going to work out for the best.
Even though his kids will probably live off his pension that we funded.
Yeah.
Or maybe on behalf of Dallas, what we really need to do is thank Russia for fighting him over there, so we don't have to fight him over here.
Oh man!
If more cops volunteer,
great callback.
Cops, you want to inflict some violence? We got a free ticket for you.
You heard it here. We can fundraise. It'll be the PRL Police Fund. We're gonna fund to send volunteers over there, so we don't have to fight them here
for 10 cents a day.
Experience. If you have police experience,
PRL Police Fund. Just 10
for as little as 10 cents a day.
Just sign up for our police tier.
Yeah.
It's right below the Fed tier.
We'll pay your passport. We'll send you.
Kyle, you've been kind of quiet this episode. What's your take on all the Ukraine stuff?
Yeah, we've been cutting you off.
I wanted to talk about the civil liberties aspect of it as far as just the crackdown on Russians.
Yeah.
I've seen there was a Russian performer who was kicked out of Canada or wasn't allowed to perform. I know in boxing there's been calls to cancel fights with Russians. There's sort of been a lot of obviously restaurants and things like that. They're just I don't know. They're
disgusting.
I think I heard in Italy that a symphony orchestra is conducted by a Russian, and they had to fire him.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Yeah,
Russian products like Russian vodka. Stores are canceling their orders. They won't order Russian products.
Right, so, and don't forget, we're not going to buy Russian gas anymore. We're only going to buy from Saudi Arabia for civil rights.
Yeah.
Just as a human rights protest, we're sticking with the Saudis.
And I wanted to read this tweet from Candace Owens of all people.
God.
I was really surprised to see this from her. She said, "In earnest, can someone explain to me why our invasion of Iraq over alleged weapons of mass destruction, which were never found, during which time we slaughtered hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians, did not result in America being ejected from the global financial world?" And so it's sort of the same kind of thing. It's we've invaded other countries and we weren't blackballed or blacklisted like Russians are being.
That's a really good question, especially coming from her.
Yeah.
I mean,
think about what the dollar is.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just it's talking about attitudes, right? What about attitudes? Why when America does something bad, don't we get treated the same way that Russians are getting treated? I mean, we're treating people.
This is just whataboutism, Kyle. This is just whataboutism. Okay.
I mean, it's really not fair to these Russian people who have nothing to do with this. I don't think to sort of
well, this is how progressives
abuse them.
Remember how you collectivists are. Especially progressives and the ones that are running it. Everything's a collective. Collective punishment is on the table. What
about the progressives
group.
have been at it with the BDS movement, right? The BDS movement is in the boycotting Israel stuff, where it's I mean, there are plenty of Israelis in Israel that support that are in the army as they're obligated to be, but there's plenty of people that are dissenters and are trying to reform things and trying to stop what's going on, and they would suffer just as much under this BDS shit.
It's collective punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, and luckily as anarchists, and libertarians, we can see through that and say, you know what, I don't have a beef against any Russian. I don't have a beef against anyone individual in Israel. That we can still trade with each other using Bitcoin. Just because some asshole who claims to rule this country, is having a fight with some asshole who claims to rule that other country, doesn't have to doesn't have to apply to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's important to take an individualist perspective and be like, hey, just because Putin is doing this doesn't mean we have to treat every Russian like dog shit. I mean, some of them are vocally against the invasion. You know,
Right,
and
like
even
Apple shut off services to all the anti-war protesters in Russia.
Well, look, they're
Right.
just acting like their
Think about
hero,
it. They did.
FDR, right? I mean, they're just following in the footsteps of the great leader.
Yeah,
Well,
so
and
right.
and they believe that they're so smart that it's up to them to reshape society the way they know it should be, and it'll be better once they can finally just inflict it hard enough.
yeah.
But
So-
if you follow
they
that
don't
that
care.
logic, they don't. If you press someone who says, "Well, they need to," we need to do these sanctions because it puts pressure on. Yeah, it may hurt the people of Russia, but that puts pressure on them. But then you kind of push back and say, "Okay, well, pressure for them to do what?" They're like, "Well, to go against Putin and to get him out of office." I'm like, "Okay, well, this guy's a dictator. You guys are the first ones to say that. What happens when you go against the dictator? You get fucking killed. You get silenced. You get like, look at all of Putin's.
What if you go against a dictator that has nuclear weapons at his fingertips?
Right, right.
It could
What
have
if
the
he's like,
opposite.
okay.
backed into the corner and he's like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm taking the whole goddamn world with me.
Yeah, or it could have the opposite effect, and they go, okay, well, you guys are, treating us like crap, cutting off our payment methods and boycotting our products and kicking us out of things, and then they rally around their leader. It could
Right.
drive them into the arms of Putin by
That's what it did in Cuba. That's what it did in Venezuela. That's what it does in Iran. That's what it does in North Korea.
yeah. You actually
why is
enhance
it gonna
their
be any different this
nationalism.
time?
I mean, it seems like
It's-
that's what they're trying to do with Russia, is basically turn it into another much larger North Korea.
It strengthens their nationalism when you do that kind of stuff. So, and Ron Paul, I don't listen to the Liberty Report often, but he's still great. He's still great at his age. Like, I listened to one episode the other day, and he's like, these sanctions are hurting regular people, and it's not going to have the desired effect. It's going to strengthen Putin's support.
Yeah,
So I was like,
he called this. There was a tweet from 2008 where he was just saying NATO expansion will lead to this. And then just going back from about,
Russia,
you just see all the tweets. You see all the tweets all the way up until just recently. And Ron Paul is just calling everything. It's like, yep, that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
I know. I expect that from the Russian misinformation bot above you, but not that. That's just that's something you shouldn't be saying. That's just Putin's talking points.
Oh
Okay?
yes, from his
That's right,
playbook.
So speaking of playbooks, let's talk about playbooks on the After Hours podcast. I don't know. That was
What
a
does
terrible
that mean?
transition. I don't know.
Yeah, this is a playbook.
good try,
I just-
Phil.
Okay. Well,
Swing and a miss.
that's the only, yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do. But anyway, so to hear about these playbooks in the After Hours.
No, I
I know what the hell
got a
Otto's
better
talking about.
teaser. We're gonna talk about Phil's defeat in the Fakertarians bracket in the After Hours. How about that?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Otto
Oh,
got defeated.
boy, this
Okay,
is-
Otto got defeated.
That's going to be worth
Otto.
$1
Phil
for
is still
my Patreon.
undefeated.
Yeah,
And there's going to be a lot of shit talk in the after hours.
Phil's dead. But all right,
Name
anyway,
and
yeah.
names.
So
Name and
we're gonna
names.
we're gonna take us over to our After Hours podcast, which you should listen to. We want all of you. If you're watching right now, all one of you, you should go to our After Hours podcast. And by doing that, you go to patreon.com and sign up for as little as $1 a month, and you get access to our whole backlog of catalogs, or our whole backlog of episodes. And please sign up for that. And if you don't like using Patreon or you want to donate in other ways, go to prlfans.com and find our a Bitcoin address and other cool ways to donate to the show. And we also have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL Podcast, you get a 10% discount. Use the code PRL2 for a 20% discount when you spend $50 or more. We are also if you have any, we're also brought to you by Hidden in Plain Sight by Moral Bob. And also we have CB products for sale over at Wheelie's Pharmacy. If you use the code PRL10, you get a 10% discount. And until next time, live free
Or die.
I could tell you were doing